Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Carl, your mic's muted, mate.
Welcome, everybody, to the Patriots Touchback Podcast. Me, your host, Carl. We are here for an emergency show because we have just found out over the last 3 or 4 hours, we have now got our brand new head coach. And surprise, surprise, it's pretty predictable. It is, of course, Mike Vrabel, the former New England Patriots player, helping us to win 3 Super Bowls along the way in our dynasty. Also, former head coach of the Tennessee Titans as well. We've got most of our panel on board tonight, so we're going to have a little bit of a breakdown on what we all think and how we're moving forward with this. Not my most smoothest entrance, so thank you, Kieran, for letting me know about that. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell all your friends, follow our social media platforms, follow the podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, and a big shout out to everyone that is watching us on Twitch. Gentlemen, first of all, how have you enjoyed your weekend?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Nick, were you just going to let him continue until he realised that he was on mute?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was just going to wait and see how long it took before he noticed. And while everyone else is going, why is no one talking on this podcast? I was just going to wait to see how long Carl would notice. But had he not noticed, like 10 seconds
I was just about to jump in and go, Carl's on mute right now, so welcome to our podcast. Was you just generally going to do that?
Yeah, I was going to wait and see how long you noticed.
Okay, I mean, you're not wrong. You're just an arsehole. So,
but he's our arsehole. That's the most important thing.
Let's not go down. Let's not go down this road.
Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen. So, breaking news happened about 3:00 this afternoon. It is, of course, Mike Vrabel confirmed as the head coach for the New England Patriots. To all what we heard Robert Kraft say about how they were planning on doing, a thorough review, a thorough process of what we're going to do, it's kind of not really happened, has it? No. They've interviewed Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton to obviously appease the Rooney Rule, and the only other 2 people they interviewed, obviously, one was Mike Vrabel, and the other one was offensive coordinator for Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson. It was pretty quick, pretty sharp, and Mike Vrabel is now the head coach. I'm going to start with you, DJ, because out of everyone on the panel here, you're the one that has a bit of an issue about this. So take the floor.
Yeah, I was in the Ben Johnson camp. It's not that I don't feel that I'm against Vrabel. I think he was a really good player for us. I don't think he was the best head coach that Titans have ever seen. From the players that he had, I mean, he had AJ Brown, he had Henry. I just feel that if we're going to take a punt and if we're going to go all in now, I would have much rather gone the Ben Johnson camp and give him, like we did to Bill, give him the keys and let him set up his entire team from scratch. If that means Eliot Wolf out the door, well then so be it. I don't know how that interview went with Ben Johnson. I know it was a virtual one. From what I had seen, it went pretty well, but I think at the end of the day, I think the Crafts already knew who they wanted from day one. They were just obviously ticking the boxes, and Vrabel it is.
I'm not disappointed with the fact that Vrabel is the head coach for us. I think because there was 2 ways you could either look at this. With Vrabel, he was the more safer, secure, experienced option, and a lot of people were very weird about that. People have said he will raise our floor, but how far of a ceiling? But we don't know how much of a ceiling that he has, and is that going to stop Drake May's development? Whereas on the flip side of Ben Johnson, we've got this young, flashy toy who can do absolutely fantastically well on offense. But once again, running into a load of vine traps because he is rookie and he hasn't been a head coach before. Although saying that, comparing him to Gerard Mayo is comparing apples to oranges. At least, he's been an OC. He's gone through the channels and what he has done. So I kind of think that the way they've gone about this, the process of it all, I don't think has worked. I think they kind of knew I've just got a suspicious feeling that when they were about to sack Gerard Mayo, I think they kind of knew Mike Vrabel was going to be their guy moving in. I don't think, they still did their due diligence to a certain degree, but nothing what we kind of expected. We thought we were going to get interviews for Joe Brady. We thought we were going to get interviews for Liam Cohen. Aaron Glenn obviously cancelled his one for some known reason. Don't know. There was Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, potentially as well. There was Brian Flores. There was other options out there, but it seems like we've gone with our guy because we know. Because again, it does sound like a bit of a retrend, but to me, it also symbolizes that being safe with your franchise rather than trying to throw it into a volcano and hoping we survive is probably not the best practice. So
yeah, I get that they wanted to go through the safer option, but
and I will say
my viewing was that we need to step away from what we had in the past. Like Vrabel, I know he wasn't as such coached by he was coached by Belichick, but he wasn't on the coaching staff with Belichick at the time. But it still feels that we are probably going back to the Patriot way. That's the feeling that I'm kind of getting. They're trying to get someone in that's comfy with the organization, that's comfy with the owners, probably comfy of the way that business is done, the culture of New England and Boston. And I feel that this is probably Kraft's last string. They can't fuck this up now, because if they do, I think we're going to progress like 4 or 5 years more back, and it's the rookies that are going to take the effect. So if you get it wrong now, May's going to step back 2 or 3 years. All the rookies that we invested our time and training into, they're going to step back. So it's the viable option to go safe. I get it. I just feel that I'm not confident and I'm not 100% sure this is the right choice. But like I say, we'll see.
I'll just go say, is this okay? There was a saying that I heard, it was a fair few years ago, and it is kind of technically rings true. You don't become a head coach in the NFL until after you get fired. And I kind of think when he got fired from Tennessee, it was a nasty way. It didn't go out due to, his form and that. I think his record was 55-45. So it was over 500 records. So it's not like he was a bad head coach for Tennessee. His GM traded away AJ Brown that he didn't they didn't want, and he had a bust up with ownership, which is why he ended up getting canned.
After he got sacked, did he ever get a chance to head coach again, or did he not?
No.
Was there opportunities there, or he just decided?
No,
I know he was with the Browns, but I didn't know what he was like.
He was just a consultant. He was just a consultant with the Browns. Probably learning under Kevin Stefanski, potentially.
Yeah.
But Nick, let's move over to you. What's your take on this? Are you happy we got Mike Vrabel? Are you disappointed we didn't get Ben Johnson, or are you still stuck on the fence?
Of everyone available, I would say I'm happy with Vrabel. I'll just go back to what DJ was saying. My issue with Ben Johnson is, what if he's another Josh McDaniels? Ben Johnson can be this great OC who's a schemer, everything, the magician behind the curtain and what have you. Great, fantastic. Josh was that. Josh went to Denver, failed completely. Went to Vegas, having gone back as an OC, back to Vegas as a head coach, failed massively. There is no guarantee that if you took Ben Johnson, he would be a success. He's got no head coaching experience. We are in the mire in that we are wasting the best of Drake May. We are down in the dumps, and we're all miserable because we can't win. You know, we've had a fall from grace that is massive. And I think while Ben Johnson is certainly a talented OC, he is a risk as a head coach. And that is what I think the Patriots can't afford, is to take a risk and get burnt. And I think that's why I'm happy we stayed away from Ben Johnson. Do not have a problem with him as a coordinator. I think he's very talented. I think Detroit are out on an absolute winner. And the longer he stays at Detroit, and if he doesn't take a head coaching job, great, fantastic, brilliant for them. But I think for the Patriots, which is ultimately what we care about, he's a risk. Now, Mike Vrabel, he's won Coach of the Year, so you can't knock him on that. I do look and think, well, Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year, so I don't know how much value you want to put into Coach of the Year.
Nagy got fired from Chicago because he was shit. Exactly. Vrabel got fired from Tennessee because of ownership incompetence. But carry on.
No, but I'm just saying, the fact that he's won Coach of the Year doesn't necessarily mean a massive amount.
Was that the year we took Tennessee to the AFC Championship?
2021.
They went to back-to-back AFC Championship games.
So he does know how to do it. And with Ryan Tannehill, who's average.
Yeah, I mean, I think he
just saying
he is what we need. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, I think right now Vrabel is what we need, because if you watched him at Tennessee, you weren't watching thinking, "Oh, this is Patriots." You know, this is just Patriots football. He became his own coach. He didn't coach under Bill. He wasn't under Bill's tree. He played for Bill, but so did Gerard Mayo. So, you know, I think just because he played for Bill does not mean that he's a Bill disciple. He went up against Bill Belichick and beat him in Brady's last game. So, I mean, to answer the question, is Mike Vrabel a good choice? Yes, I think he is. Am I happy with it? Yes, I am. I think he needs some good coaching talent around him. I would really love to see Robert Saleh as a DC, but Robert Saleh might want a head coaching job. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, I'd be pushing for him as a DC. 100%. I think Mike Vrabel needs a talented OC. Yeah, I don't know. Saleh might want to go back to the 49ers. I don't know. But I think Vrabel could do with a talented OC to help to run the offense. So I think where he goes from here and the staff he puts in place could be quite a key thing, because, again, to bring it back to Mayo, he brought his own staff in, that's fine, but none of them were experienced. None of them were, you know, we talked about DeMarcus Covington, and we said that he just didn't have enough in him, you know. So I think where Vrabel goes now and who he recruits as his coaching team will go a long way to say where the Patriots are going now. But I do think we should, in theory, start trending upwards.
Kieran, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. I said on the podcast last week that I think it was a two-horse race, and I think that was pretty evident by the fact that we only really interviewed him and Ben Johnson. I mean, with all due respect to Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton, neither of them were getting the job. It was to, whether you agree with it or not, it was to, you know, abide by the Rooney Rule. Now, I wouldn't necessarily rule out either of those guys because they're out of the NFL. They're both experienced NFL coaches. Maybe one of them is going to come in potentially as an offensive coach, an offensive assistant. But I think, I think Nick was right. I think most people wanted Ben Johnson because of the potential it had with the offense and pairing him with Drake May and how dangerous that could have been and how exciting that could have been. But when you look at perhaps what we need more, Vrabel maybe ticks more boxes than Ben Johnson. I think he's going to come in and instantly instill a culture again. I think it's going to be, the dysfunction behind the scene is going to disappear. We're hearing more and more stories about what things were like under Mayo and how things, were dysfunctional and unorganized. And I think that's going to disappear straight away. And I think it will be a team that is going to be hard-nosed, will play tough defense, will run the ball, and he will not take any shit from anyone. And, having listened to Taylor Lewan's video and listened to and read, a few other comments from people that have worked with him before, like this guy, he can rub people up the wrong way, but it's ultimately for the benefit of the team. And yeah, I think we are going to improve straight away. There will not be a season like we had the last 2 seasons. There will be a floor there where we will not drop off below that. The standards will be set at a certain level. There'll be expectation on the team to not falter to the level we're at now. So, I think it's a positive. I think he's going to get in and probably make a lot of changes. Probably can kick some ass to start with, make a few people upset, but maybe that's what's needed. Complete culture change. And I'm excited for potentially where it goes.
So for anyone that hasn't seen it already, this is the Taylor Lewin video that Kieran was talking about. I haven't watched this yet, by the way, so this is going to sound incredibly new to me. So we're just going to play it and see what Taylor has to say regarding the hiring from Mike Vrabel to the Patriots.
Good morning, boys. Happy Sunday. Beautiful Sunday. Sun's shining outside. A lot of things to be positive about. New England Patriots fans, you have a lot to be excited about. Got Mike Vrabel in the building. Culture is going to be incredible. You guys are going to win games. Those tough, one-score games, you're going to win them. That's how Mike Vrabel works. That guy is going to have his team knowing the ins and outs. Now, if you're a player, come here. You need to keep your fucking head on a swivel, okay? You need to understand that shit is about to be really hard for a little bit, and it's going to be okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's kind of
That's
what
the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. That's Mike Vrabel in a nutshell, really. And in some one-score games, we have been very, 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 very unfortunate. But
we need a better offense than to win.
Well, hopefully that's where we get sorted, though.
But just know, you're about to go in hell for a little bit. You're going to be sitting there in the locker room. You're getting small groups. Who the fuck is this guy? Why is he talking to us like this? Who does he think he is? Yeah, he played in the league, whatever. By the way, he's in that first team, he's going to tell you how many years he played in the league. And he's going to reference it forever. Not a bad thing. Boys, I'm telling you, it's going to work out. I was a part of it. I was in those small little groups at first. And then you start to get away from like, yo, this dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. But keep your butthole tight in those team meeting rooms. You've got to keep your butthole tight.
Joe, this just sounds like a call I've had from you previously. What?
You know it, mate. Don't be spreading our rumors around, Carl. Come on, man.
I kind of want to know what goes on in a meeting with Mike Vrabel now.
I'm interested.
I cannot confirm or deny that. So
I think Nick, just on that, there is a video from Will Compson on social media. If you can look it up later, and it's basically one of the Titans members of staff or someone doing an impression of Mike Vrabel in a team meeting, and it is absolutely hilarious.
I'll look at that.
I think
I'd recommend checking that out.
Yeah, I need to come across that again at some point. Right?
Because he's gonna have guys stand up. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? People that are more prestigious in like the topper tier players, especially if you're a rookie. If you're watching this and you're in the combine right now and you get drafted by the Patriots, congratulations. But also keep your fucking head on a swivel now. You need to dial that thing in. He's gonna have you stand up. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Learn the janitor's name. Learn everybody's name. Learn everything. Now you get into the season, and you're gonna get team keys: offense, defense, special teams. This is how you're going to win the game. He's gonna paint a beautiful picture for you. The guy's stage presence is top tier.
So he is true there, because what Mike Vrabel was very, very good at when he was at Tennessee, he was basically a player's coach. You would actually see him in training camp doing the drills, with the receivers, with the offensive line, with the running backs. He would actually get his hands in the dirt and actually help, which if you're a player and that's what your coach is actually aspiring you to do, then that's actually better. That's actually better quality for you.
As a mentality wise as well, I can't remember. I think it was Brady. He used to know every janitor's name on everything around the building as well. So I don't know if that has some kind of link to that as well, the way he obviously sees that.
I would ask, Carl.
Yeah.
Carl, what I would ask is, do you know the janitor's name?
No.
Okay. I don't know it either, so I'd be in trouble as well. I don't know it. But yeah, just checking.
It could be Ant Murner for all I know. Anyway,
Or a coach. He thinks he's a comedian. Laugh at the jokes. They're not always going to be great. Laugh at the jokes anyway. He thinks he's a comedian. He is going to burn the team keys into your head. But if you play offense like I did, you need to know defense and special teams as well. Not a worse feeling in the world sitting in that team meeting and not having all the answers right here in the front of the head when he calls on you, Lawan, and you're like, oh my God, what does the defense do on the second team key? You got to know it. And it's not like, well, because then you're dead. You gotta pop them things out, boys. I'm just telling you, you gotta pop them things out. It's gonna work out. I swear to God, it's gonna get tough at times, and he can be nasty. But boys, you're gonna win some games now. You're gonna win some games. All right, you guys are in a good little spot. Big hugs, tiny kisses. Good luck. Good luck, Patriots. Good luck.
Sounds like a fucking guy we need in the locker room. Like,
yeah, unfortunately,
that isn't. Yeah, Tyler Lewan is no longer a left tackle by looking at him. Let's be honest.
No, yeah, he looks like
that is one skinny ripped motherfucker.
It does look like a slim down tight end now.
That's a very slim down.
Okay, so let's go to Mike Vrabel, his coaching resume. So in 2011, he was a linebackers coach for Ohio State and a defensive line coach from 2012 to 2013. And then he went to the NFL, went to Houston. He was linebackers coach for 3 years, 2014 to 2016. He was DC in 2017. Then he got his head coaching gig at Tennessee from 2018 all the way to 2023, in which Nick, you was spot on, 2021 NFL Coach of the Year. He was a consultant for Cleveland last season, 2024, and now he is the head coach of the Patriots. So that's his resume, and it does sound a lot better compared to, well, obviously could definitely compare to Gerard Mayers. It was nothing, but he has got experience in the NFL. Okay, he has been fired from a head coaching role, but that's not the be all and end all. You know for a fact when a player is a head coach and when a player is an OC or a DC or special teamer. You'll find out sooner or later, but this guy will drill it into us. And as I said in a tweet, I said earlier, I said he will drill this defense in, he will riddle out the mistakes, and he will get us disciplined. That last bit is the key, is the one fundamental problem I had with this team all season long, the discipline. There was nothing of it. We were thinking it was on average, we had average 8 flags a game. Average 8 flags a game. You can't keep doing that. So
I don't think it's just discipline on the field. I think it's discipline off the field as well. Because, as Taylor Lewan referenced, there's going to be times where there's going to be players chirping in the locker room, and he's going to shut that down straight away. Mm-hmm. If a player speaks up in a meeting, he's going to tell them to shut up. We're not going to have any of the nonsense with what Jelani Tavares said, or we're not going to have any players making, comments that are going to rub people up the wrong way. He's going to set a standard, and he's going to hold players accountable. And I think that's what's needed. But I think also to point out, yes, he was fired in Tennessee, but that was due to an ownership dispute. Supposedly he wanted, is it Rand Carthen, who was the GM there? He wanted to move on from him and have a new GM in place. So I think, and replace him with Ryan Cowden. And now Rand Carthen has been fired by the Titans this season, and Ryan Cowden went on to the Giants. And then obviously the Titans hired Brian Callahan, and that's not gone very well either. So I don't think you can look too much at that. I think he had a good success at Tennessee, back-to-back AFC championships, coach of the year, set a culture, and he did that with a very mediocre quarterback. And if you look at all the QBs that Mike Vrabel has had as a head coach, none of them are as good as Drake May, and that is a stone cold fact.
Yeah,
so
100%.
he now has into this season a second-year QB who is got a huge future ahead of him. And I do think this is providing he gets the coordinators right. This is a marriage made in heaven potentially, and
that's what I was going to say. Who do we think now moving forward is he's going to come in with an OC GM? Is he going to look at replacing Wolf? Do you think?
So Ryan Cowden's coming in from the Giants, isn't he? Supposedly, but what role he's going to have, I don't know.
So there's some potential Mike Vrabel coaching additions off the top of it is obviously Josh McDaniels, Tommy Rees, Wes Welker, who just got fired by the Dolphins, Shane Bowen, and Tom Quinn.
I'll be shocked if I'll be shocked if our offensive coordinator isn't Josh McDaniels. I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I do, but
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well.
I don't think that's a bad thing. Honestly, I don't.
I think I heard something going around that obviously Josh McCown, he's being taught under Kevin O'Connell currently at the moment.
Did he not go to interview with Jets?
They clearly turned him down. So
the Jets. I think the Jets would have interviewed us. I think they've interviewed Rex Ryan for fuck's sake.
I think going back to
Tommy Rees, who is that lad? Because I know I've seen Vrabel talk very highly of him.
Titans coach, isn't he? Cleveland Titans.
Was he not
coach,
in Alabama?
Alabama, yeah, Alabama's old OC, yeah,
the old OC at Alabama.
Yeah.
Was that under Saban?
Just to go back to the search, I think if the Patriots hadn't acted quickly, Vrabel could have well ended up at the Jets this week. Because he already interviewed with them before. So, DJ talked about Raiders. Not much of a search and the depth. I think if you were going for Vrabel, you had to move quickly anyway, because I think he was going to be gone. But we had a pod. If it wasn't last week's pod, it was the pod before. I apologize. I can't remember which one. And I slagged off our defensive work, and I said about how all our yards allowed, and I think we were like 29th or whatever it was. While Mike Vrabel was linebackers coach in Houston, the Texans were third in yards allowed. And that is the linebacker, and that's the linebacker teaching the players what they need to do, and then the DC gives them a play. He improved Houston's linebackers, and then they started performing. While he was at Ohio State, Urban Meyer was obviously the head coach when Vrabel was there. Their defensive stats went up. So he has got form where he's gone. So
do you think it's Nick, do you think it's much for him to take the defensive duties as well as head coach? Is that something that they could potentially look at doing?
Well, I think if I go back to Bill was head coach and he ran the system, but it was Steve that was the DC, but he was pretty much running what Bill wanted. So I think if Vrabel picks a DC that he trusts, and I think you'll probably see some aspects of Vrabel in there, but I think it's the DC's job to run the plays. The head coach is to run the game. The head coach runs the game. The DC and the OC run the plays at the time. So, that's how the system works. But I think, I remember him turning down the 49ers DC job to stay at Texans. So, I genuinely think we are, with Vrabel, we are on an upward trend. Carl, you said it about how high is his ceiling, how high is his floor. The fact is, the ceiling is not where we need to be worried about right now. We need to be worried about the floor. And right now, the Patriots are sat in underneath it. We have gone through the floor and we need to get back.
We're in the
So
basement.
I'm not too worried about where his ceiling is. Right now, we need to start getting better, and he will do that for us.
Yeah,
and he's a trench man as well, isn't he? He loves like good players in the trenches. You think back to that Tennessee offensive line during his prime. Okay, it declined towards the end, but the likes of Taylor Lewan, Jack Conklin, Roger Saffold, you know, Ben Jones at centre. These were hard-nosed, good offensive linemen. So I'd expect us to try and dominate in the trenches on both sides of the ball. We're going to run the ball down teams' throat. So, you know, we've talked about potentially needing a new running back. You know, that could be something they look at in the draft. Yeah, we've got plenty of money to reinvest in the team. I think this is something we can all look forward to. Just on the coordinators, there's been on that list you read out, Carl. Obviously, we spoke about the offensive names, but I think is it Shane Bowen from the Giants, the DC.
Yes.
I saw a tweet earlier on today that he was Vrabel's DC.
He was Vrabel's DC. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and that the Giants may be willing to let him come to New England and potentially replace him. Not sure where the Giants ranked last year in terms of their defense, but when they've got some talent on it. But if that's the potential,
they
DC
weren't terrible.
Or Tommy Reese potentially as OC, then maybe Shane Bowen's the DC and Tommy Reese is the OC, or Josh McDaniels, whoever. But I think that's probably our most likely DC candidate is Bowen from the Giants.
So as of January 11th, the New York Giants defense ranked 8th in the NFL for passing yards allowed.
That's good. The Giants were good defensively. They've got some good pieces on defense. The problem is
their defense led the NFL in sacks with an average of 3.6 per game and 6th from red zone defense.
So the defense was actually pretty good, but unfortunately
they had a good defense. They're just shockingly bad on offense.
Shockingly bad on offense, and that's not saying much. So Taylor Lewin put a tweet out, or re-quoted a tweet from some guy called John Brock here. Love that even though I've been out of the league for 2 years, weigh 255 and have a right leg that doesn't work correctly, people still think I've got it. Thank you, John. So, you know, that's hard. That is hard praise. Joe, we didn't even get onto you. What was your reaction to the Vrabel hiring? Because we've left you till last, mate.
That's all right. No one leaves baby in the corner for long. I think it's the best.
Wow.
With them.
Wow. Well done.
Let me do that. Let me do this for you. Because you deserve that. Go on.
I think it's the best option. I think we spoke obviously in the group chat as well. I think it was just too much of a risk to take a shot on Ben Johnston. I think you know what you're getting with Vrabel. He's going to come in. He's going to reset the culture. He's going to bring a hard-nosed football team that's going to work hard for one another. He's going to cut all the crap out that's going on in the background. He's going to cut it out on the field. And I think it's the right hire at the right time. I think if Ben Johnson had come in and had blown the Crafts away and they decided to go with him, then fair enough. But I think, again, you come back to it, I think it's another option, another one where if you don't appoint Vrabel now, you lose him. It's very much that. And I think you can't afford to let a coach of his experience with the connection he's got to the Patriots as well to walk away. And I think it's the right option at this exact time.
I guess also as well, just to state, I think with Vrabel in charge, depending on who he actually brings in as his coordinators and his staff, there might be a bit more of an urge to bring players in. Like players might want to come now and play under Vrabel and obviously May as a second year or whatever it is that you want to call it. But there could be the potential to grow there under Vrabel rather than just Mayo or even Ben Johnson as a rookie head coach that we don't know what to expect from rookies. So, yeah, I guess from that aspect, it's a plus as well.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I think we've all said I think it's vitally important on especially the offensive side of the ball, who we appoint as the coordinator. And I know we spoke about it earlier, but for me, I think if you're looking for the safe option for a year or two, I don't see any harm in bringing Josh McDaniels back. I really don't.
For the only way, though, Josh McDaniels has been in Ohio State this season, obviously learning more of a modern offense and so on. So, can an old dog learn new tricks? We'll have to find out. But I have my doubt that I have my reservations regarding Josh McDaniels. I don't want to keep seeing freaking third screens or bubble
third
screens,
and 12 screens.
third and 12, third and 14. I don't really want to bloody see that.
You say that though, Carl, but one thing you get with Josh McDaniels is obviously a very good offensive play caller and a good quarterback developer. That he made Mac Jones look very good in his rookie season, but
it's
also and Mac Jones was really good as a rookie as well. And then obviously fell off a cliff. But if you look at when we had Cam Newton, the offense was adapted. There were a lot of designed runs. They did lots of different stuff with him because Cam Newton wasn't Tom Brady. I would imagine that because obviously Tom Brady was not much of an athlete per se, that Josh McDaniels, if he is going to be the OC, will have in his mind that he can do more on the run with Drake May, more bootleg, more play action, more designed runs. Like he's got a much more wider and broader scope now with Drake May than he did with Tom Brady. And yes, Brady's the greatest of all time, but I think that offense was designed around how Brady operated and his skill set and how he could be dink and dunk, nice and accurate. Whereas now you've got potential with a guy who can sling it down the field and do stuff on the run and do stuff out of structure. I think he could completely redesign the playbook.
I think you can blend both playbooks together, Kieran. If you like, what you're saying about the adaptation that he done for Cam Newton, you can bring in the best bits of both of them, and then add some for Drake May as well. Drake May is an athlete, whereas obviously Tom Brady wasn't. I honestly don't. If they turned around tomorrow and said that Josh is back as OC, I definitely wouldn't be upset with it.
How quick do we think we're going to move after press conference tomorrow? Do you think we'll start to see the guys coming in?
I think they'll need to.
I think you'll probably. I think you'll probably wait a few weeks because there may be guys who are going for a head coaching job. Who, if they get that, then obviously they're not interested in the coordinator job. But if they don't, like, let's say, for example, DJ, you mentioned it, I think off, either on or off screen. What if the Byron Leftwich thing is a play? You bring him in, you're agreeing to the Rooney Rule. He's part of that thing, but it gives you an interview as to gauge an OC possibility. Like I said, Robert Saleh might not get a head coaching job. Now, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he'll be interested in a DC position. But you've got to wait. You've got to wait for the head coaching jobs to be filled before he'd consider. So I think, there's probably some back channels. And if I just use Robert Saleh as an example, there might be a back channel where someone says, would you be interested in the DC position? Well, I'd really like to be a head coach. If I don't get a head coaching job, then yeah, I'm interested. Right, okay, brilliant. So you might wait on your DC job, but go and find your OC first or something like that. And then it turns out you didn't get a job. Right, brilliant. Come and be my DC. So I think you might see some positions fill over the next week. You might see some not fill. I think if you see a position doesn't fill over the next week, it's probably because he's got somebody in mind who's being considered for a head coaching job, and you've got to wait for that to play out.
What about the front office personnel? Do you wait there, or do you just act now? Because
no, that's more crucial. That's definitely that's more crucial at this stage.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, DJ, you make a really good point there, mate. Because the OC and the DC, the players aren't in until the spring now. This is the time of year where your front office are doing the most work because you've got the draft coming up and you've got free agency. So absolutely getting the front office personnel right now is an absolute concrete priority. We can afford to wait a couple of weeks to get OC and DC and position coaches sorted, but we absolutely have to get who's running the front office sorted as an absolute priority now. So we've already heard about Ryan Cowden. Is there going to be any more? Potentially, but I think that's going to be done first. And then just
Love to see a
make
GM
a good
position.
point about the coaches coming in. You guys remember Adrian Clem came in a couple of years ago, interviewed to be the OC, didn't get the job, and then was the O-line coach. So it makes you wonder whether Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton are being potentially touted for position coach roles. So you might see people interview for OC, but then settle for a position coach or assistant. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point you both make.
There's one name I wouldn't rule out for OC who I'd love to see him as OC, and that's Eric Bieniemy. He's been out at UCLA this year. He's just left UCLA this year.
What a fall from
grace.
Again,
Eric Bieniemy is certainly one I would certainly ask the question of if he was looking to come back to the NFL. Whether that be as an offensive coordinator or just on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, we don't know. We still don't know whether or not that was him making the play calling for the Chiefs, or was it Andy Reid making the play calls for the Chiefs? We don't know.
And did Mahomes make him look better?
Which is quite possible. Mahomes is still good, so there's your answer potentially. But that's not someone I would rule out either. So regarding Ryan Cowden's background for 15 years at Carolina, he began his NFL career as a scouting assistant. He advanced to Southeast Area Scout in 2001 to 2007, and then National Scout from 08 to 12. He was then Senior College Scout 2012 to 2014 and Assistant Director of College Scout in 2014 to 15. During his tenure, the Panthers secured 2 NFC titles and 5 division championships. He then obviously went to Tennessee to join the Tennessee Titans as Director of Player Personnel. He was promoted to Vice President of Player Personnel in 2018, overseeing both college and pro scouting departments and contributing to draft preparations. Following the dismissal of GM John Robinson in December 2022, Cowden served as the interim general manager for the remainder of the season. And then in 2023 up to the present day, Cowden was appointed executive advisor to general manager Joe Schoen, I can't remember this now, of the New York Giants in May 23. He and Schoen had previously collaborated with the Panthers from 2000 to 2007. So he has got a bit of a good background on him, and obviously he knows Mike Vrabel very well. So it kind of does make sense. Does make sense what he does there.
It makes you wonder whether the writing is on the wall for Eliot Wolf, because they made Andrew Callahan made a good point on the podcast the other day, saying that Wolf potentially would be open to essentially taking demotion but still keeping the title as executive VP of player personnel, but someone could come in and run the show. Now, if Ryan Cowden's coming in and we said there could be more, like, does this now show that potentially Wolf is either going to get just, pushed to one side or reassigned or focus on scouting, or is he out altogether? But it could be the writing on the wall for him potentially.
Potentially, yeah. But we'll find out later down the line, because we're still waiting for a GM role, an OC role, and a DC role. But we got the main guy in charge now. It is, of course, Mike Vrabel. His press conference is on Monday, so we are going to be doing a review on that on Tuesday's normal time, Tuesday's podcast. So make sure you check us out for that. But that's it for us on this little emergency. So thank you to Nick, DJ, Joe, and Kieran. Thank you to everyone that has been watching and listening. Please make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Your Gronk spike, the subscribe button. Tell your friends. Follow us on all our social media platforms, and follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well. We'll be back on Tuesday for our usual show. And Mike Vrabel is officially the head coach of the New England Patriots. Let's start from the ground and work our way back up again. Good night. God bless. Go Patriots.